Where's your backpack, babe? Do you guys not have homework? You don't have like an essay?
They never have homework. They never have class. Hi, everybody. You're listening to Thanks. We Hate It.
Yay.
I'm Hannah Lehman.
And I'm Mickey Atkins.
And you're here, and we're here, and everybody's here. And I have a little rosé.
I was going to say, Hannah has wine today. Saucy.
It is saucy. Okay. And to be fair, it's also 3:43 in the afternoon currently.
No
and I'm
judgment.
already drinking wine. But no judgment, but also it is like a spritzer. It's mixed with Pamplemousse LaCroix. My favorite drink ever is white wine or rosé wine with Pamplemousse LaCroix is really good. But it's
fun.
not that. I'm not throwing back shots here. So don't worry, everybody.
No judgment.
How are you?
you
Told me that you had a date last night.
I
and you
did.
were texting me. I got a cute little fit check before.
Yeah, you
I
got a
helped
bunch of them
Mickey
because I was stressed.
pick out. I know. It was so cute though. And I was like, oh
Thanks.
God, I need to do that.
It's fun.
Yeah. Tell us how it went.
My
Was
date
he
went
cute?
good. Yes. This was the first time that I've gone on a date with a cisgender man in like a hot minute. It's just
You've been dating the ladies mostly.
mostly like the people that I tend to match with and vibe with are either like cisgender women or trans people, non-binary people, like queer
Right.
people generally, people who have like multiple queer identities, you know? I
Right.
just don't really tend to find myself vibing with like, especially cis het men in particular. But this was the first time that I've been on a date with a cisgender man in a hot minute, and so I was very nervous about it. But it went really well.
He must have been pretty special over DMs, though.
Yeah,
If
he's
he
very
must have been
sweet.
giving you a good vibe
Yes.
if you were willing to meet up with him.
Yeah, I'm like a chatty, talky person, obviously. We all know
Mm-hmm.
this about me. But I appreciate when I can have like an in-depth and like intelligent and like witty conversation with somebody without having to try very hard. Personally, because I just am like a lot. I'm like dominant is the wrong word, but like aggressive also feels wrong, but I'm just like very
Strong personality.
Yes. Yeah. And
That's
so I
how
think
because that's how I am too.
Yeah, especially with like the cis het men demographic, it tends to be not well suited. I either find people who like cis het men, I either, you know, my experience, I guess, at least has been that they either find that like off-putting or intimidating, or like it just feels like we're not the same, you know? And so I appreciate being able to have conversations with someone who's like matching my energy in terms of being like also forward, I guess, not like that, but just like someone who can like hold a conversation and like that I won't steamroll over top of them.
Yeah.
By just like being
that
myself.
can handle the banter.
Yes. Yeah. And can like share speech space with me in a way that doesn't feel competitive or aggressive or like irritated by me just being very vocal, you know, like that easy back and forth is hard to find in that demographic. So that was nice. I appreciated that a lot and I had a really fun time. So
And she fun. It
Yeah, I
was
know.
fun.
yeah, it was
So
good.
was he as good as like the banter as you were kind of hoping
Yeah,
that
it was
he
better
would be?
actually, which I feel like never happens. That's why I texted you and I was like, Hannah, because I was so excited that it was like actually better in person than it was over text.
See, that's like 99% of the reason why I'm so scared to go on a date is because very frequently, back when I did date years ago, like every time I would meet a guy online that I've met online, it was like so different than how he was. Like it was like he would chat one way and then either like couldn't talk when we met in person or was just like annoying or just like did not vibe. And so it's just kind of like, I have a hard time not seeing it as a waste of time.
I feel that, honestly.
So, well, I'm so glad that you had fun though.
Thank you. Me too.
Has he like texted you today?
Yeah, I actually
Okay,
texted him
good.
a bunch last night when we got home. I am like the text me when you're home so that I know that you're not dead person.
Yeah.
And then so we talked last night and we've been talking all day today too, which has been nice. It's always fun when you like don't run out of stuff to talk about, you know, because that's always a fear with a first date that you've like exhausted the conversation and now you're like
If I don't think, honestly, I don't think I'd be as scared to go on a date if somebody who could predict the future could tell me 1000% that the conversation would be interesting and never lag. Even if it wasn't a soulmate, like if they could tell me that, I'd be like, cool.
Yes.
Fear gone.
There, actually, I listened to an episode of a podcast. I listened to Multi-Amory, which is, I think I told you about this. It's a podcast about polyamory and ethical non-monogamy and just like dating in a way that's like not the sort of standard. But I listen to that a lot just because I think it's great, like educational stuff, but also because I find it interesting. And they did an episode about like with this person who's like a dating coach or something, but she was talking about like best practices for first dates and stuff. And one of the things that she said was that people usually, like when someone comes to her and is like, I'm having a hard time with dating or whatever, that they are spending entirely too fucking long on their first dates. She was like, the tendency is that like if you're enjoying yourself or like initially you're having fun, you want to stay and you want to like have this conversation with this person for hours and hours. But she was like, the thing that you're doing is like risking running out of stuff or like losing steam towards the end of that date. And then like, because what we remember about a first date is the initial impression that we have, like, do they match their pictures? Are they funny? You know, like, are they like dressed well, whatever. And then the end of the date, like how everything wraps up. And so like that in between time, if you're like taking too long and then the end of the date like fizzles and it's weird, then you're left with this like bad taste in your mouth. And so she's like, realistically, you should be on a first date for like an hour, maybe two, if things are like really vibing, but otherwise like keep it short, keep it fun so that you guys are like wanting to go see each other again, which I thought was really good advice because I am that person.
That's such good advice too, because we often don't give people a fair second chance.
Yes.
Like obviously if somebody's toxic or clearly not a good person, like of course you don't want to give them a second chance, but very frequently we like base our entire judgment of somebody off the first date when like you should really, if they're a good person and it wasn't terrible, like you should give them a second chance because some people are very different. So I do think that's great. However, I have a question.
Sure.
How does this person that gave this advice, how do they suggest you set up a date in that manner? Like when you're messaging and you're like, hey, should we meet up? And then the other person's like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then the other person's like, cool, what do you want to do? And then like, how do you set the boundary of like, for first dates, I want to meet up for only 1 hour. We're going to this bar and I have, you know, like how do you do that without sounding weird? Because not everybody would, some people would find that like, what? Why don't you want to hang out with me? Especially guys that dating doesn't make them nervous. They'd be like, why can't we hang out till midnight, you know? And it's like, how do you...
She actually did address this too, because that's a common question that she gets. It's like, what am I supposed to go in with this, like, we're only hanging out for an hour?
Right.
And she was like, you don't have to explicitly voice that. I think if I remember correctly, the suggestions that she gave were doing, first of all, daytime stuff, because you tend to be like out for less time during the day. Because like at nighttime, you're like,
true,
you know, we're just at a bar, like let's hang out until midnight, until the bar closes. But she also, I think, suggested doing like activity based things or like things that have a logical ending. So like a coffee date where like, sure, you can order like 2 coffees or whatever, but no one's gonna sit there and fucking pound like 3, 4, 5 coffees.
That's
right?
a good point.
And like meals, like brunch,
that's
lunch,
such a good point.
Because there's a logical ending point.
I'm so scared to go on a coffee date because for me, drinking helps my anxiety.
Yes.
But I end up taking a lorazepam anyway if I go on a date. Like I have to even be able to like keep my tits in line whatsoever. Like,
yes, I hear that.
Right. So honestly, that's such a good idea though, because that is kind of the problem I run into is that it's like, drinks feel the most comfortable for me.
Yep.
Because then I can have a vodka tonic once I get there and like calm down and be a little less inhibited. Right. Yeah. But then that's such a good point because then it's just like, well, people often will have 3 to 6 drinks in a night.
Well, and then like, how do we decide when we're done? Because there's no like logical ending point, which is awkward.
Right. Because then you can't, because you finish your second drink and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Like, that's so true.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, anyways, I might be making this up, but I'm pretty sure she suggested like logical ending kind of stuff, like meals and activities where like, or like movies and stuff too. Personally, I am not a fucking fan of movies on first dates, but like
No,
the
me
fucking
neither.
movie's over, right? So like we're going home kind of a thing.
Right. It makes sense.
Yeah,
That
like
is
those kinds of
such
things.
a good point. Like, I knew that you should keep first dates short. Like, logically, I had always, like, even my therapist told me that because she's like, well, you'd probably be more willing to do it if you were like, cool, I'm going to be back in an hour.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had never thought, yeah, that's great in theory, but how do you actually do that? And so I'm just like, I love that advice because that's so logical.
I also just personally, like, this is just me. I am a fan of scheduling, like, especially a first date when I have something to do later, like an evening.
I know.
Date is like rare for me for a first date because then I can kind of be like, yeah, I have free time from like here to here, right?
Right.
And so then it's like, okay,
Yes.
you know, like I gotta head out because I have like this thing or, you know, this like prior obligation, which eases my anxiety also. Because then I tell myself to, like, a lot of the fear that I have about first dates is like, what if it's awful, right? Like, what if it's terrible and I don't have the guts to be like, this is bad and I'm leaving? Because I'm such a baby about it. But I think having like the end point for me is like, if it's fucking terrible, like you just have to tough it out for like 2 hours and then just like never talk to them again, or like send them the like not a match, thanks very much, goodbye text message, you know?
Have you ever had a plan with Aaron though, where like you can text him a code word and if
Absolutely.
And if the date's going really bad, you can have him call you and say that your cat needs to go to the emergency vet or something?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that, I've heard of a lot of people doing something like that. Of just like, code word, help.
I have a standing arrangement with like several of my friends and with Aaron that like if things are really going sideways, then I will, you know, excuse myself to the bathroom and send you like the signal. And then it is your job, like T-minus 5 minutes to come, you know, initiate some sort
bail
of
me
like
out of this. Yeah. I need to grow some balls and just do this because
listen, I'm here for the fit checks, Hannah. I will support you.
Listen, I'd probably be the type I'll probably like, if I can get myself to go on a date, I'd probably not only be taking my panic attack anxiety meds, but probably calling you and talking to you on the phone all the way there. Like actually like live streaming with you all day, freaking out about it. Okay. You guys, I want to tell you guys how Mickey and I met because
it's such a cute story.
It's cute. And also I just like when I listen to podcasts like this, I want to know the relationship and how
I've seen some comments about it too.
Yeah. And like when I listened back in the day, when I first started listening to My Favorite Murder, like it drove me nuts that they didn't say how they met. And it took you had to really be a diehard fan to like know how they met. So I thought it'd be cute to tell you guys, just like give you a quick rundown of how we met. So we met, fun fact, Mickey and I met when both of our channels were tiny.
Yes.
Well, I think it was part of a Facebook group, it's very niche. Do you remember what the actual Facebook group was?
I do.
The whole cuties debacle.
I think so. Do we want to name the Facebook group?
Probably not. No,
I do remember what it is, and I can tell you as an aside later, but I do remember which one it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
neither of us are members of that group anymore.
Are you still part of it? No, you're not either.
No.
Toxic as fuck, right?
Yes. Yeah. It got weird real fast.
Oh, really? Okay, you will have to tell me about that part later because I'd be curious to know. But I think we met through that group. We joined another group of small YouTuber group on Facebook, and we started talking through there. I think because I think what I want to say, and maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say I like made a post about like, does anybody want to review each other's channels for like anything, like what we're doing wrong? And like, because when you're a small YouTuber, it's so hard to get objective feedback because it's either your family or friends telling you that like everything you do is amazing, or it's your trolls telling you you're doing a shitty job. So like, so it was like other people that understand what I'm doing. So we did that. And so Mickey and I connected through there and we reviewed each other's channels. Yeah. And then I think we started because we were DMing. So I think we started DMing from there. there. Is that all correct from your memory?
Yeah, I remember we did like the channel review. We watched like a couple of each other's videos and gave each other feedback. And that took the course of like, I don't know, probably a couple dozen DMs of just like chit-chatting about like this, that, and the other. And then I specifically remember because one of the videos that I watched on your channel was about oh my God, I can't remember what it's called. It starts with a D. It's the like Russian hiking conspiracy thing.
Detlitov Pass.
Yes.
Detlitov Pass.
Yes. Yeah.
Is what it is.
But at the time, that was something that I was like looking into. It was like a special interest or like hyperfixation of mine. And so we started talking about that and just like chit-chatting about that and like true crime stuff and like conspiracies and urban legends and whatever. And then we just kind of like just never stopped talking to each other.
We were messaging each other because we were like the only, and both of us had under 1,000 subscribers.
I specifically remember that you had just hit 200 because I was like,
oh my God.
I remember being so starstruck that I was like, oh my God, like her channel's giant. Like I don't even think I had 100 yet. I think I had like 50 or 60 subscribers. And I was like,
had 50 or 60 or something.
I was like, I'll listen to whatever you say. Like you must know so much more about this than I do because you had 200 subscribers, and I was like just starstruck. Isn't that so cute?
But I remember watching your videos because I watched some of your early videos, and I thought they were. And I remember some of my feedback for you was specifically like, don't let go of that person. Like, don't simmer down your personality.
I remember
because you may feel like it's not gonna like be because not everybody will like it, because I told you like people like it when you pick a side, and it's okay to pick a side, and it's okay if some people don't like you. That means that other people will like you a lot more. Like it's good to have a personality. And then I also remember telling you that I was like, your content itself is good, but your thumbnails suck really bad. And I'm wondering if I could take this thumbnail of yours and try it to do it myself and see if you like it.
And you made it so much better.
Reacting to Grey's Anatomy.
Yes. Yeah.
And I made you a thumbnail.
And it was
like what great. I thought would be good.
I think it's
not
still
like
up on
I
the
was
channel.
A thumbnail expert.
But it was better than what I was doing at the time. And then also I remember
hard to know what to do.
I specifically remember you telling me like your intro is beautiful, but it's like
it's too
way
long.
Too fucking long, dude. Like literally it's like 15 seconds too long. And I was like, whatever.
I know.
Because I had so much fun like filming it and whatever. And I, at the time I was just like, I don't really give a shit, right? Like I like my intro, so like fuck off. But then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, she's probably right.
She's right, isn't she?
So we chopped it down and we've just left it that way ever since. Like obviously I've updated it since then, but
that's one of the first things. Like I still have random family members that are like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. Like, what's your advice? And that's one of the first things I tell them is like, nobody cares about your intro.
Yep. It's
you
just
care about it, and that's it.
Yep.
I have a 1 to 2, like I have a 2-second intro that I do just a really quick little blurby thing with my name on it.
Yeah.
And when I took it away, I'd get comments about people saying like, where'd your intro go? Because they would want it back, but it's okay because there's only 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about your intro except new YouTubers who think that it makes them look like
professional
big YouTubers.
Yes.
Right.
Which it doesn't.
But it was like, because I could see the potential in your channel even then. Yeah. Like, even I know that I was really small too, but I could see the potential in your channel being like, her content is really good and her personality is great for YouTube because you have a unique perspective, and not only being a therapist, but also having a personality that's not in line with what a lot of other therapists on YouTube are. I just knew that like the outside packaging for like everything that I've just researched, that was all me just researching and stuff. So anyway, so then your channel grew.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
We had a couple thousand, but then we did the thing where like suddenly one of Mickey's videos blew up,
and it was terrifying.
I know, but your channel grew to like 50,000
I know.
in a couple weeks or something like that. It was amazing.
Crazy. Yeah.
And I was like so excited. I was jealous, of course, but I was also just so excited for you. And then
it happened to you.
And then I was at about like 8,000 or 9,000, which I was also very excited about. about. And that's when, because that's around the time that we did our collab, that we did that first video collab on that true crime story. And then a few months later, like, and then you just kept steadily growing. And then a few months later, my channel blew up. So we didn't become friends after we had YouTube channels. We were friends before either of us were YouTubers.
Yeah.
But because of YouTube.
But I just think it's so funny because I remember when both of our channels were small, I think we've actually had conversations about this before, but I remember talking about how the idea of making friends with someone who's like an established YouTuber already was like scary to me.
Yes.
Because there is such a like, I think there's just such a difference in like knowing somebody for who they are and then like knowing somebody because of YouTube and then finding out who they are, or like knowing about them as a person. Like, I think because the order of it for us was the other way around. Like, I trust you implicitly, you know, like you're genuinely my friend as a human being. And if both of our channels disappeared tomorrow, like you're still going to be my friend.
Yes, exactly.
And so there's just like a different feeling to it as opposed to like meeting somebody who's, you know, like you meet them through YouTube first.
So like, yeah. And for context, like when you collab with somebody else on your platform, when you both are already YouTubers, I mean, it's not that you're like mean people or anything whatsoever. It's just that there is an implied benefit for both of you because the point of collabing is to grow your channel. Yeah. YouTubers have been doing that since the beginning of time, ever since you could monetize YouTube. Yeah. People were collabing with other people in their niche just to build each other's audience so that other people, and we like did it genuinely because like obviously that was like we wanted both of us to grow, but obviously. Like I think you're right. Like, I think there's just that like genuine friendship before. Like, we didn't know that we were going to blow up. Like, we didn't know that we'd ever be able to be YouTubers at all.
No.
And so
when I first met you, I remember telling you like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't think my channel will ever get monetized, but like, if it does, it does. And then, like, look at us now. Isn't that so sweet?
I remember, special. Like 6 months, like during the summer, you were like, wow, maybe I'd hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I remember you telling me that specifically, and you were at like 50,000 or something like that by then. Like, that was right before your channel blew up. It was spectacular. It was so cool.
That's crazy, man.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was so cool. Wow. But I just loved that. I always tell people. Me too. When people ask me like, oh, who are you doing the podcast with? And I'm like, oh, it's my friend Mickey. And like we grew our channels together is what I always explain. Yeah. So
it's important. That's an important detail. Thanks for telling that story, Hannah. Oh, so cute.
We met through Facebook. What do you got for us today, Mickey? What are we chatting about?
I got a little bit of a ranty rant because, as I'm sure some of you probably know, I am obsessed with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which are both Legend of Zelda games.
Thank you.
They are
like, what are those?
Yes, they're both like little open world adventure-y games that you can play on the Switch. I really like them because the type of video game that I like playing is like very open-ended, right? Where like some video games you play them and it's like very heavy-handed. Like you are supposed to do thing A, thing B, thing C, and then this is your final goal and then you're done, right? You've like beat the whole game. Don't die. Basically, yeah. But the games that I really enjoy playing, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and like Skyrim, and even like The Sims and Planet Coaster, like they're just like, you just like fuck off, right? You're just like in this place. There is obviously like a end goal for like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, but it's like very up to interpretation how you get there.
More role-playing?
Sort of,
like, more like role-playing video games?
I think so,
What was that other game that you were telling me you were obsessed with? The kitchen one that was something about Skyview something, or
Overcooked?
Maybe. I thought there was another one that was really popular. Sky Valley or Valley something.
Oh, Stardew Valley. Yes.
Stardew Valley.
Same thing.
Thank you.
Yes. Very open-ended, very much like here for the vibes kind of energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Like just kicking it.
Yeah, you farm your little farm, you go mine the mines, you make your little foods, and you just like do silly shit, you know? And like Animal Crossing too, same thing. Like there is in theory an end goal, but like mostly what you're doing is like chopping down little trees and doing little DIY stuff. Yeah, it's like very chill and fun. So I gravitate towards that kind of stuff because obviously, as you know, my life is very busy. Like I have a lot of stuff going on at any given time. And so it's fun for me to just like dick off in a video game and do nothing, right? So my like,
it's your decompress time.
yes, my thanks I hate it today is like spoilers around video games and stuff like that, because and this is no shade to anybody, like everybody's allowed to play games in whatever way fills your cup. It's none of my business, right? But like, it pushes my buttons that I have to try so hard to avoid spoilers for like the very end of the game, because people do the thing where they want to speed run through it. They want to like efficiently work through the thing like as fast as possible, which again, this is no shade, right? If you like doing that, that's none of my business. But for me, the fun and like the magic of it all is in like discovering stuff like on accident and like getting to just like through this little ancient kingdom and do like fun, silly shit. And so because Tears of the Kingdom has been out for a little while, now there's like a lot of spoilers about the end of the game and all the quest stuff. And it just pushes my fucking buttons because I feel like it's a productivity thing. I feel like it's the like, we should be efficient and productive always, which I know you and I have talked about this and like how much I fucking hate this, because it also is like, in my opinion, tertiarily related to like hustle culture, like this expectation that we're supposed to like monetize all of our hobbies, right? Like you can't just have a hobby to have one. You should like do something with it, right? If you really like making, I don't know, like baking. Crocheting stuff, or baking, you should sell those. You should start going to craft fairs. You should make an Etsy account. And like, why? Maybe I just want to do it just for the fuck of it, right?
Like it's a complete waste of time if you're not making money off of it.
Yes. And that's the thing that gets me too about Breath of the Wild and like Tears of the Kingdom, is there is this attitude that like, well, what are you waiting for to like finish the final thing? And like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What am I waiting for? Like this is what I'm waiting for, right? Like, the fucking around, like that's what I'm waiting for, because I just want to disconnect.
That's the point. For you is playing the game.
Yeah, I feel like it's just really soul sucky for me, the like efficiency thing, because I just don't like. We all know that I'm not a fan of capitalism generally, obviously, but it just is like very sad to me, the idea that like this capitalist mindset would leach into something as silly as a video game.
Yeah, where are these spoilers showing up though? For context, I don't play video. I mean, I play some app games. Like I play Heyday, you guys, which is like, oh my God, it's just a farming game. It's a build a farm game. Cute. I've been playing it for like 10 years. Like I'm not even joking. I've been playing it like since it came out, and I still play it every single day. My farm's beautiful. I love it. Yes. And it's fun because I just go in there and you could just like, I have a neighborhood of people to talk to, and then I just kind of dick around for a little bit. There's nothing like, there's
Hannah,
nothing. I love, there's no dying in it. There's
nice.
No enemies. There's nothing stressful. It's just mindless graphics.
Aww, that's sweet.
But where are you finding these like spoilers that you can't avoid? Like, is it just like on headlines? Is it in Reddit? Like videos? Like what is going on?
So it's a couple of places. One of which is like probably in my control. I really should unsubscribe from all of the like Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild subreddits that I am a part of, because I know that they're gonna post spoil, like that they're gonna spoil it, and I should unsubscribe. But also sometimes there is like funny memes in there and just like general discourse about the games, which I find interesting.
It's still,
and like to be fair, some of the subreddits are pretty good about like putting like a blur over spoilers and like labeling spoiler content and stuff, but sometimes they're not. And so like I've stumbled on stuff accidentally a couple times where I'm like, I didn't want to fucking know that, or like I didn't want to know what the answer to this like puzzle was or whatever, you know. But also the other place that has been like mostly the thorn in my side is fucking TikTok, because the algorithm is just like,
yeah, you can't control that as much.
No,
because you're just swiping on TikTok.
Yep, and it will just show up.
No.
And again, it's the thing where like sometimes it's a funny meme, right? Sometimes it's something that's not spoiler content, and I want to know, I want to laugh at funny little jokes, but then sometimes it's a fucking spoiler, and I'm like, God damn it! Like I get so fucking mad.
You want to know something? I was just gonna say, I feel you. Like I'm empathetic to the fact that you don't like that, and I do think like I would never spoil stuff for somebody without letting them know that it's a spoiler.
Sure.
However, I will say like I don't mind spoilers. I am not a concerned about spoilers person. I will enjoy something probably more if I know how it ends.
What?
Very frequently, unless it's okay. There are exceptions.
Okay.
For example, like when I was watching The Last of Us, it was very big. I did not want to know like that. I was like, there are some things that I'm like experiencing, but sometimes things are so stressful that I'm like watching, like if I know what happens, and I don't play video games, so I also can't put it in that context. But like, I actually like, there is something to say about like, sometimes people enjoy a book more if they know the ending, because they can then enjoy the ride more, because they're not stressed because they know how it ends. I know it. It's very, yes, I understand. I do think I'm weird. Like, I don't think, like, I do think, like, I totally understand. Like, I'm not saying this is normal. I'm just saying that it's like, I don't, if I can, sometimes if I see a spoiler, I'm not upset about it, because then if I know it's coming, it like stresses me out less. Like I knew about, okay, spoiler for The Walking Dead, but I think it's old enough that it's okay to spoil. But I knew who was gonna die in The Walking Dead in the famous season 7 episode with Negan murdering Glenn and Abraham. Like I think I knew that before it was gonna happen. And it helped a little bit, but the scene was so stinking gruesome. The most, I mean, you know how much you know how many horror movies I watch, and how I'm pretty desensitized. That scene still lives rent free in my head, and so like knowing that they were gonna die helped a little bit, because it was like I was able to like wrap my mind around it before it happened, if that makes sense.
Yes, which like I get that too, because I do want to clarify, I am the person who will unapologetically regularly watch and rewatch like a comfort show, because it is like anxiety inducing not knowing the end of something. I am kind of that way with like TV shows and stuff. I still don't like spoilers about TV and movies and whatever, but like I get that more.
Maybe it's a video game thing, and it's because I don't play video games, so I don't get it.
It also might just be a me thing, to be fair, because I just am a sentimental bitch, and like part of what happened with Breath of the Wild is that I started playing it like way late, right? Like it came out years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, like a long time, and I started playing it like last year, I think. So I wasn't like discovering this stuff alongside everybody else, or like it wasn't like new, because everybody else had already talked it to death. And so it was like kind of sad to feel like I didn't get to do this like awe and amazement thing that everybody else was doing about, like, I don't know, like I said, I'm just a sentimental, emotional ass bitch. And so like, especially for like the first time that I played Skyrim all the way through, discovering all of the quests and like all of the little twists and turns, like it's just such a fun emotional experience to be like, like I remember, you know, like the first time that I played this game and like being so in awe of like how beautiful this game is and the world building and like how intricately put together it is, and just like the time and the effort that the devs put into like crafting this little world that's like cool and like filled with all of this lore and like all this fun stuff, and then to have someone like spoil it and like you don't get to experience it then, like when you're watching like this little cutscene or whatever, you're like, oh, I already knew about this. Like that makes my little heart so sad. Because I just love experiencing that stuff like firsthand, you know?
It takes the immersion out of it.
Yes. Yeah.
It makes it less immersive. Yeah. And I get that, because we talk about that a lot on my channel when I do alternate reality game covers. It drives, one of my pet peeves, honestly, is, do you know what an alternate reality game is? One of my pet peeves is that now it's very popular for the creators of alternate reality games to say that it's an alternate reality game. And to like, and
which,
like
I
on
get
TikTok, if it's a TikTok one, they'll like put and the reason they do that, is totally because people genuinely freak out and don't understand that people aren't actually dying, or it's that like this person is not. Yeah, it is, right. So I do get it, but it totally breaks immersion for me. Yeah. And I like it way better when the creator's just like, when people are like, tell me this is fake, and the creator's like, you know, and won't tell you either way. Like, even though everybody knows, it just, it makes it more, I think it's probably kind of like that. Yeah, that would be my equivalent to video games.
I feel like that's a perfect parallel, because it is kind of like the immersion thing, but it also would be like if somebody released, like if somebody dropped all of the videos for an ARG all at the same time, so that there isn't this like anticipation, because sometimes they, you know, like obviously they upload videos, you know, like a few days apart, a few weeks apart, whatever, and so there is this like anticipation of like when's the next one coming out? It's like fun, you know. And so it would be like if somebody dropped all of those videos all on the same day, because like I want to like be as efficient as possible with like releasing this content, or like
there's always you
know, like it just, or like somebody, I guess more accurate equivalent would be somebody
I get that.
binging all of those all back to back to back to back, which like from a dopamine point of view, like
so they can be the first one on YouTube to make a playthrough of it.
Yes, exactly.
Because if they're the first ones, they're gonna get the most views.
Yeah,
to be fair though, they are gonna like that's why they get the most views though. Like that, those videos are gonna do better if they're the first ones to come out with it. Like I mean, we do that in YouTube. We have to come out with topics.
I know,
in real time sometimes.
I know,
right?
Stressful.
Sometimes it's not all evergreen content. So yeah, I totally get that. And that's why I said
there's
like no right answer, but
there's no shade. Like I'm not judging or saying that there's like a right or wrong way to do it. It's just that it sometimes is hard because the right way for someone else to do it gets in the way of me trying to do it in the way that feels right for me. And so I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like,
and the only answer is like not getting on your phone at all until you're done with the game, which obviously makes no sense.
No, like that's not a realistic expectation at all. So that's kind of where I'm at with
I get that.
I think especially too, it does just push my buttons because I really hate the like being as productive or efficient as possible thing in my free time, because like
why can't people just enjoy stuff?
Yes. Yeah. And like I don't know. I think again, especially for me, because like I think we said this last week or maybe the week before, but being content creators is an incredibly privileged way to make a living, right? But like somebody joked a while ago about like, I didn't like my 9 to 5, so I quit, and now I just work 24/7, and like it does kind of feel that way sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
You turn in your 9 to 5 for a 24/7 job. I've heard of that. I've heard that exact same thing of becoming a content creator.
And like again, incredibly privileged way to make a living.
It's not those people's fault either, because it's their niche and they have to come out with the content because people expect them to.
But it just is like, I think
sad
for me. Well, yeah. And it also just, it feels important for me in the time that I'm taking to like fill my cup and like be restful and restorative, that I'm not doing that. You know, like there is in some ways unavoidable aspects of that in our day-to-day lives. And so like, whatever, I've made peace with that, right? Like it beats the hell out of working in a fucking cubicle. So like, fair enough. Right. But also at the same time, like if I'm doing something like purely for the vibes or like to fuck off, then I would like it to be purely for the fucking vibes, please. Yeah. Like let me fucking dissociate in my little corner with my silly little games. I don't want to know about the end game.
And like,
and all
is
the
it
secrets.
That hard to just put like spoiler alert like in the caption or just on the screen so that you could scroll past it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The thing that is like mostly pushing my fucking buttons right now, the thing that's mostly pushing my fucking buttons right now is that in Tears of the Kingdom, a lot of what you're doing is like building stuff. They give you this little ability where basically you can like glue certain objects together. So like there's tactfully placed little piles of like wood panels and wheels, and you get these little devices that like all do certain things, right? These little like flamethrowers and like little spikes and whatever. You can make like things to like hurt enemies.
My sister's gonna love this episode because she can relate to you a lot better because she plays video games.
Hi, Hannah's sister. Thanks for watching.
I don't actually know what she plays right now. She used to be a Neverwinter Nights girly, but
I've never heard of that. That sounds
I don't know if she plays that now. I don't know. She can comment on this video and let us know.
Yeah.
And we can I'll pin your comment,
Video
Ari,
game girlies
if you
unite.
tell us what video games you're playing.
Yeah.
Because I know she's been listening to our podcast. So
hi, Hannah.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No,
I was
fine.
just like thinking you're telling me all this stuff. I'm like, I can't even visualize this. Yeah.
But so a lot of the fun in like them giving you this ability is that you get to be creative in building stuff, right? Like there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do stuff. And so there's like fun, cool ways to combine certain things to make like interesting little like vehicles or like, again, like things you can use to like hurt enemies or like whatever. And it's not necessarily a spoiler because it's not about like the end game quest line, but I keep getting these videos of people who've made these like very elaborate pieces of machinery. Like I saw one on Reddit. If you're not wanting spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom, by the way, like mute the episode right now because I'm about to talk about like some building stuff. But I saw one that somebody had made like a walkable mech. It was like, do you know what a mech is?
Mm-mm.
It's like a robot suit, sort of.
Okay.
It's like it's like a robot suit. It's like this big fucking monstrosity of like a robot thing, but like you can fit inside of it. And
I was gonna say, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
short king self is like inside.
Like you
this
control it from inside of it.
Yeah, and like
Transformers.
I would have never, like even in a million years. Also, I'm still like very early game. I'm like really fucking around. I haven't done anything.
Right.
So I was like, what the fuck, man? Like I know that that's not a spoiler, but also like, I want to figure out how to make a mech on my own. Like, I didn't want to know that you could do that. And so I think that stuff, especially, because then I'm like, like if I do ever build one, then I'm like, I'm building it because I saw someone on Reddit make one.
Were my intentions pure?
Yeah. Which is such a like first world, like not a real problem.
It's okay. Hey,
still,
you know what?
You know,
that's
whatever.
Okay. We talk about our shallow problems on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. This is our podcast, and we can talk about our silly little problems.
About little things. Yes, it's okay to still be upset about little things.
Yeah, so that's mostly what's pushing my buttons these days.
Oh my goodness.
I know. That's my thanks I hated this week. Thanks for letting me rant about video games, Hannah.
Of course. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy listening to you, but I'm sure a lot of people, I know I have a lot of gamers in my audience.
Oh, fun.
Personally.
Okay, good.
Totally. So like, I think that a lot of people will enjoy it. Do you want to know something else I hate this week that kind of goes along with this as like the media thing?
Of course.
You're going to be, I feel bad for saying this because a lot of people are going to be mad at me.
Okay.
I stopped watching Euphoria and I decided I don't like it.
Okay, wait, tell me why. Because some people feel this way. This is valid. I'm curious what your turnoff was.
I'm bored. I made it through the beginning. I was in like the first or second episode of the second season. And
wow, you made it pretty far.
Yeah, I watched the whole first season.
Damn.
I will say I am obsessed with Jules. I love her and her character, but that's about it. I don't really like any of the other characters except for not Maddie.
Cassie.
Is Cassie the blonde one?
Yes. Sydney Sweeney.
I do like Cassie because I feel like bad for her because she like struggles so much with so many things. Should I not feel bad for her?
I'm trying to remember where, like at what point her character development was by the episode you're watching. I don't want to spoil it, obviously, but yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna watch the rest. I stopped watching it. So I just like, it just feels like a lot of the episodes to me are, and again, maybe people should stop listening if they really die hard love the show because I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
Sure.
Just to let people know, these are just my personal opinions. I'm sure many people love the show, and it's it's not that the show itself is bad. It's just that a lot of the episodes like are really anticlimactic.
I could see that. Right word? Anticlimactic,
Tonight's anticlimactic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like it feels like something huge is about to happen, and then like nothing happens, and it's just like the end of the first season was like 20 straight minutes of just like cinematic shenanigans. With stuff with Rue do it, you know,
which like is really beautiful.
It's pretty,
but it's not like really, particularly.
I'm waiting for the page turner, right? And this really says something about the type of media that I consume, where things have to be intense and like always moving and stuff. Yeah, but it's just like I feel like very anticlimactic that way. And then the other thing I just don't like about it is just that I just can't get over how unrealistic it is for teenagers, that they're supposed to all be like sophomores or juniors, like not even 18, like they're all like 16, 17, and to be that far down addicted to drugs, to be that to be having sex with that many people so willingly. I'm sure some of them do, but the hypersexualization of teenagers is a little is
kind of ick.
See, I don't want to even say that because I don't judge people for liking the show, because I used to watch I have seen all of One Tree Hill. I have seen all of Gossip Girl. I have seen all of like so many of these shows that do the exact same thing. Where it's like 25-year-olds playing teenagers, and then there's the hypersexualization of teenagers. But it's not even so much that, because I know high schoolers are having sex, like a lot of them are. It's just the fact that they all have clear skin. They have like, none of them have to
adult
do homework.
Bodies.
None of them go to school. Adult bodies, like they have like all this, and then they're like have these fantastic sex lives where it's not awkward. They have sex like they do in like,
I know
it's weird to me because I am pretty sure, I guess I didn't have sex in high school, but I cannot imagine that it was that pleasurable for the girls in high school, like the way they're acting like they're having totally normal sex in this show, when it's like, I have a hard time believing it wasn't an 8-second terrible
very high
you know
school.
What I mean?
People who are in the early stages of their normative sexual development are not going to be having the world's most fantastic and evolved and communicative sex. Like, you just don't have the skills for that typically. Like, it's not to say that no one does, but like, to represent it as if every single person is like maybe a little bit much. I will say too, a lot of people have commented about how you have to just immerse yourself in this like non-realistic or unrealistic world, because like I've seen a lot of TikToks
your
of
disbelief.
people I've seen a lot of people making TikToks and stuff about like what it must be like to go to Euphoria High as like one of the not popular kids, where like the main characters of the show, especially the women in the show, are coming to school with nothing more than like a little teeny tiny little purse. Like, where's your backpack, babe? Do you guys not have homework? You don't have like an essay?
They never have homework. They never have class. The
and
most
like,
you see is them walking through the hallways.
And like, also, I got read the riot act in high school more than once, like on a regular basis, for wearing tank top straps that look like this. But y'all are coming to school in like a bralette and like teeny tiny shorts and like these crop top thing. Like, I know obviously that like dress codes, first of all, dress codes are archaic and disgusting.
They totally are.
And it's not that dress codes are good.
But it's still unrealistic.
But also like the vast majority of the United States especially is still like, very much forcing high school kids to abide by a dress code. And so there's
to not distract the boys.
Yes, there's a lot of aspects of the show that are just like, that's not how real life
So somebody put it, I was reading about this because I was like, God, why am I just not connecting with this show? And so I was looking at Reddit to see other people's opinions on if other people had the same thought as me. And somebody said it really well, that they were like, it feels like millennials or boomers writing a show about the way they think Gen Z is.
Oh my God.
And then Gen Z... but Gen Z watching it because they wish that's how it was in some aspects, but it's not like that at all. They're awkward, they're zit faced,
which is normal,
which is totally fine and totally normal. And I think for me, most of these shows, Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl, and like I said, I have lots of guilty pleasure shows. I love stupid, terrible dramas like this. I love me some. I've seen every episode of Pretty Little Liars, you guys, and there is a lot of seasons.
There's a lot of seasons of that show.
But I just think all of these shows would work so much better if it was set in college. They would look like college kids. It would make more sense. A lot more people are having sex and understanding their sex lives. Their sexual awakenings better in college. And it's like they have to set it in high school with minors,
which is weird.
It's just a little weird. Like, I'm glad they're using older people to play those characters. Obviously. Like, nobody is under, like, it definitely should not be a cutie situation, where I'm glad everybody's consenting and old enough to understand what they're filming. But I just don't understand why they have to be in high school. All of these plot lines would make a lot more sense in college. And
they would. That's a good point.
Take the sex out of it. Rue being in rehab that much at 17 years old, I'm sure it's happened to somebody.
Well, of course.
But like, the glorification of it,
yes,
for me,
which
is just,
yeah, that's another critique that I've heard a lot of people have, especially people who are like in recovery or like working through their own addictions, that the show is just like fucking trigger soup, because it's like low-key kind of glorifying addiction and substance use, and also like portraying it as if this is a perfectly average thing to do, which like, don't get me wrong, lots of people that I went to high school with did drugs, like it's
drugs,
whatever. And like, it also is
drink.
something that's going to vary a lot depending on like your socioeconomic status and your like geographical location, like all that stuff. Right. But also I think it's fair to say that the degree to which these kids are going to house parties and like ragers and just like being obliterated, like out of their minds, like 5 nights a week.
Parties.
Like, where are your
that
parents?
Jules walks in and she's just like, "Give me the shot."
Well, and like, how does it make sense that every single one of you has a set of parents or parent that is just completely checked out to what the fuck is going on? Like, again, I don't want to like dismiss the fact that this is happening for people, because it does. Like, lots of people have checked out parents. Lots of people may or may not have substance abuse or substance use issues at that age. But I think to say that like every single household in this fucking neighborhood has the specific combination of like very checked out parents, rampant access to substances, no homework, no issues, no legal involvement. It's like, okay,
can we,
like, we're maybe
I think
we're suspending reality a little bit, you know.
And I think, like you said, suspending your disbelief is great, but it's hard. Like, I think enjoying a show just for the sake of enjoying it, and like I said, if you enjoy the show, like, great. That's I just exposed myself for watching Pretty Little Liars. It doesn't get much more embarrassing than that. Okay,
listen, I watched it too. Okay,
but it's easy for me as a 30-some-year-old woman to see that and be entertained by it and just take it for what it is. If I was 15 and watching a show like that, I personally would feel shitty about myself, because I feel like everybody else, that I was missing out on this big thing, that I was not a popular kid, so I would never be invited to a party. And then for the kids that are like that, it perpetuates that idea of it's normal to drink when you're 17. It's normal to get absolutely wasted. It's normal to be an aggressive jock like Nate. And like,
my God, I know.
And I understand Nate's a villain, but they take it pretty over the top with like him. Like, I don't even think like, even if he's that bad of a person, like, it's hard to believe. I mean, he almost beat somebody to death, and like,
there's a lot of really problematic behavior too that's normalized in the show as like, this is perfectly average conflict resolution, and like, no, the fuck it's not. No, it is not. We should not be plotting to like physically harm people.
Nate's dad just so the parents are either completely checked out or they're Nate's dad, where there's like this giant conspiracy going on underneath the surface.
Like, you don't even know either. It gets so much worse, Hannah. Nate's dad is like hands down the worst person in the whole fucking show.
Right.
It's wild, but it's also really sad. Oh, it's just so complicated. I'm sure. And I agree with you. I think if they had set this in like college or late life, like in a, I don't even watch so much Friends, more sense. But like in that sort of age range, like that they were on Friends, would make so much more sense.
So much more sense.
Anyways.
And then I wouldn't feel so weird about teenagers being like, I mean, again, at least like all the actors are overage, but just like that glorification of it is just weird. It's just weird. It's just kind of weird that we just, and I think the other thing too with the Idol coming out, the
I have heard of this, but I have no concept of what it is.
Oh, okay. This episode derailed from something else.
Sorry, everyone.
That's okay. No, it's fine. I say it's fine on behalf of everybody. The Idol is the one. It's the creator of Euphoria. Who's making this new show, The Idol, and The Idol is getting pretty ding dong bad reviews. I don't know all the details of it. But it has The Weeknd in it and Johnny Depp's daughter. Lily Rose Depp, is that her name?
Fuck if I know.
I know. And like, it's about her. I don't even remember what it's about, but it's like a really toxic premise. It's like, after having a nervous breakdown that caused the cancellation of her last tour, an aspiring pop star who is Lily Rose Depp, I had it right, begins a complicated relationship with a self-help guru at the head of a contemporary cult. And I think a lot of the themes are like The Weeknd is I want to say it's like a dom sub relationship, but portrayed very badly.
Yucky. Not again.
And I want to be very clear that I'm not super in tune with all the drama. So if I have that wrong, like I feel like it's something along those lines.
Yeah.
But I just want to be super duper clear that I'm not actually, I haven't finished D'Angelo Wallace's video about it.
Okay, fair enough. But still,
there's something like really weird about it. And it's just like this Steve Levinson guy, like what are you doing, dude? Like,
yeah, I think maybe it feels
Sam Levinson.
It does feel a little bit like the male gaze thing, like media being centered around the male gaze thing, you know, because like there is another show on Hulu that I've watched called Pen 15 that is like a similar premise. It's about like middle school, but it's made by two women who basically are just like reflecting and like sharing about their coming of age and their adolescence. And like it is a little bit odd because it's adults depicting like middle schoolers. And so there's some aspects of that like kind of like ickiness because they're talking about like discovering what it looks like or like what it was like for them to become sexual and like have that awakening. And it's like, like it's a little bit that way.
But it's like you can't, how else do you do that though? Because you obviously can't use children.
No.
Well, you shouldn't use children.
No.
But then it's also weird to depict it at all. It's kind of just weird.
So there's like a little bit of that ick factor, but at the same time, one of the reasons I appreciate the show is that it is very honest about how fucking awkward and brutal and just weird those years are for like normal people, right? And it's not like the Euphoria thing of like constant like sex, drugs, and alcohol and the whole thing. It's just like them going to like their very first boy girl pool party and like what swimsuit should I wear and like that kind of a thing. So it's like cute and nostalgic and like kind of funny. Yeah. And so I think I just appreciate media like that more because it is just this very honest depiction of like what it feels like to be an adolescent girl trying to find your identity. Yeah. And like navigating friendships and conflict and like all of that stuff.
More of a Judy Blume book.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's like cute. And also there's like fun little like aspects of 90s and early 2000s nostalgia in it. So like obviously I appreciate it for that. But yeah, I think it does kind of feel a little bit like the difference in the way that like men approach making media about women versus women making media about ourselves, you know? Just feels different, I think.
That's a good point. And it's also them, like you said. I didn't realize that Pen 15 was like a good example of it. I thought you were like going down a they also do it badly kind of way, but I like it. They're actually better. It's better because they're like reminiscing on their own.
There's still like problematic aspects of it, to be clear, but like I do think I appreciate it more than like stuff like Euphoria.
Well, I started rewatching The Good Place instead.
Oh, I love The Good Place. The last episode of The Good Place already makes me cry.
Oh my,
crazy!
Oh my god!
Oh, it's
one of the best shows ever made, in my opinion.
Yes. And also too, I will forever respect the fact that they chose to end the show when they did. Like for the purpose of it wrapping up
4
in a
seasons.
way, without like trying to just ride the fucking train until the wheels fall off.
Because it was making money.
Yeah, I feel like it was a really like respectable, you know, move, and the show just wrapped up in a way that felt really authentic, which is nice. I feel like that's rare these days.
It's like the Breaking Bad effect, because Breaking Bad deliberately was always going to end after 5 seasons, no matter how well it was doing. And looky there, the story then was great, and there wasn't these weird side stories or plot holes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my biggest...
Did you notice, spoiler for The Good Place, by the way, everybody, my favorite part about the ending of The Good Place is that they all kind of come to terms with their biggest flaw. So Chidi finally makes the decision by going. Yeah. And Eleanor is finally selfless for Chidi.
Oh, stop. I'm going to cry. I really
know.
Can't talk
I almost
about
cry
it.
like every time I think about it. And then I want to say, I feel like there's other parallels for the other ones because, you know, like Jason. tries to go. But then he's like found like hundreds of years later on a bench. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? And I feel like he also has like a moment. And then I think Tahani like also kind of like does something to help others rather than just
being
trying
so
to being so self-centered.
Yeah.
But when I realized that parallel with Chidi and Eleanor's thing is just like, I know.
I don't know that I've ever thought about that before. That's so sweet.
I know. There's no way that wasn't on purpose.
I know. It
was
obviously.
So deliberate. I thought they did. And the Lisa Kudrow showing up at the end. If you don't watch Friends, you don't, but you know who okay.
Yeah.
That was such a treat. That was
know.
like, oh my God.
So
I just
good.
love, it's a show. It has such good payoff. It has a really good,
Yes, I feel the same way, or similarly anyways, about Schitt's Creek, or about The Good Place that I do about Schitt's Creek, because it's that same
Schitt's Creek is good
vibe,
too. Yeah.
You know, where it's just like, it's calming and like life-giving.
It's
kind
fun
of
to
stuff.
have on in the background while you're doing other stuff.
Schitt's Creek is like forever my comfort show for that reason.
Yeah, my mom loves Schitt's Creek too. I love Schitt's Creek. It's so good.
I just love that, where there's like that nice emotional payoff, but there isn't like huge emotional turmoil, you know? Like The Good Place still had a clear through line. There was still like a good, like a point to the whole thing, but it wasn't like the needless like twisty turning, because it stresses me out. Like I'm easily stressed, obviously.
I love how The Good Place too has it's just like, it's so eloquently without being in your face about it. It has that message of like being good is not one thing and being bad is not one thing, and there's a lot of gray areas, and like what is a good person, like what is heaven and like hell, like what actually would qualify and how many gray areas there are and stuff is just great. And I just love Janet.
I know. Oh my God, me
too.
Big
girl crush on Janet.
Oh, Janet's the best. But anyways, this podcast is a Darcy Carden fan podcast.
I know. Seriously. We love her here. All right. Should we wrap this up? We've been chatting for a while.
We've talked
kind
for
of derailed
probably
here. I don't know what this episode is going to be called.
This week we hate lots of stuff. Lots of
Thanks,
small
we hate everything.
Thanks, we have lots of nitpicky negative opinions about unrelated topics, but that's okay.
Yes, but hey, here's your dose of some lighthearted banter for your week, because I know there's a lot of serious crap going on in the world right now, and we don't do that on this show, so.
No, we don't. I think you and I both get into the serious and like gut-wrenching topics enough
on our own
channels.
In our own channels, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, I gotta go eat some dinner, and I have a Netflix party tonight, so I'm gonna peace out. But thank you guys so much for watching or listening or wherever you are. Leave us reviews. Leave us 5-star reviews if you're enjoying the show. It helps us a lot.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And please. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.